Hi, this is Ross Payton here with Role Playing Public Radio, and this is episode 37, Set the Pace.
Dude, I did not hear the announcer voice.
Hi, this is Ross Payton here with Role Playing Public Radio.
Much better,
Yeah.
you suck.
Yeah, I was distracted by your ugly face. Yeah, take that back.
Well, this is luckily radio, so they're going to have to take your word for it.
Podcasting, internet radio, or, well, not even streaming, it's down. Yeah. Anyway, we should get out of semantics. Onto the show. It's been a while. We've been doing things.
Yeah, the things that we do.
Yeah, I went to DragonCon, which was awesome.
Good for you.
It was a 40,000 person costume party, more or less. Of course, you've already seen some of the photos on our website that I took of some of the crazy...
They don't do it justice to the sheer scope of it, does it?
No, it is insane. And I was running games at midnight every night, or playing in games at midnight, so I couldn't go out and see all the crazy parties, which I heard were even crazier. So, next year. Year.
Nerds, costumes, and drinking.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Nerds gone wild, and girls dressed up as Power Girl.
I really kind of think we should film that. Nerds Gone Wild. People would pay to see that spectacle.
They would, and then the lawsuits would happen. Yes. Anyways, I have a bit of bad news. Well, sort of not bad. Goblin Hulk. It's a project I've been working on for quite some time. It's going to be delayed. It's not going to be out today or September 20th, obviously. I'm working on trying to get it out as quickly as possible. Hopefully before the end of the month. Hopefully within a week. But we'll see. But I'm not going to sacrifice quality to just shove it out the door. And we are getting a lot more art. From Ian Moody and a bunch of other artists, Josh Hunter, and all kinds of great art. So, in fact, I will link on later into this to the cover preview, so you can get a look of what the Goblin Hulk looks like in the daylight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Big ass dragon skeleton on the side of it and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's pretty awesome. So all those you donated for the ransom model, you will not be disappointed. This will be a quality product. We've got over 10,000 words written so far.
We believe in quality over expediency.
Yes, exactly. Think about video games. It's out. It's done when it's done. So yeah. Anyway.
And we've seen what happens when video games are rushed out the door.
Exactly. Now, another thing is there will be an actual play feed only, so we will separate the episodes with the actual plays.
So this is finally coming to pass.
Yes, and I figured out how to do it, or at least set up a separate... it'll be actualplay.roleplayingpublicradio.com.
And I cannot bitch about that. How long this has taken, since Ross here does primarily all the work on that.
Yeah, all of the web work. So
I'm just going to say good job, Ross, and
we'll do a new actual play episode every week. And I will set up a ransom for a measly $200 to help get that up and running. So all you actual play fanatics out there... Excuse me. Sorry about that. We're gonna keep recording because this is live and raw, and you're getting it live. Yeah, that's how I just don't want to re-record this, Tom. Is that okay?
Ross, I understand.
I did sneeze away from the mic.
You did do that, and away from me too.
Yeah. So
but
I'm a great person.
I saw the way the light hit it. Debris was coming out of your mouth on that.
It was just spit, Tom. I didn't.
Yeah, I know, but it was visible spit.
Well, because of the light.
It was gorgeous. I wish this was truly TV and not radio, so you listeners could have truly enjoyed that.
Yeah, it could have been in slow-mo, but... bleh. So, anyway, there will be a minor ransom for that to get it out earlier, quicker, and you will be very happy to find out. I'm not going to spoil what the first, the inaugural actual play will be, but I'm sure all of you will be looking forward to that, so hint, hint. And then finally, we are planning to set up a community actual play size, so this can be the internet central station for all community for actual play recording. So I know a bunch of people on our forums, the RPPR forums, have been wanting to record their own games and get them out there. So
it's not all just about us.
Exactly, it's about the fans. It's about you, the listener. You rock. You guys are.
You're the
awesome.
You're the reason we have.
You're
everything.
better than other people because you listen to us. I mean, because you're
awesome.
Yeah, you're in the cool kids club. Yeah. Anyway. As soon as I can,
none of that came out properly.
No, I no idea. As soon as I can figure out how to set up a community site where people can upload their actual play files and have them rated by other members of the community, and then sorted, so you can be like, oh, I want to get a D20 game, or I want to get this, or I want to get whatever, and these are the top 10 games that have been rated by you, the fan.
The sheer awesomeness is going to blow your balls off.
So if you have any experience on actual play recordings, or not actual play, on content management systems, CMS, backends that could handle that kind of task, large 100 meg MP3s, upload, rating, download, sorting, tagging, filtering.
RPPR wants you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from you, because WordPress is about the limit of my technical abilities, and
let me tell you, and his abilities are light years beyond mine. So
yeah, so
I make fart jokes and swear.
That's well, we all do that, Tom.
But I do it professionally.
Oh, okay, you specialized.
I specialize.
That's your niche.
Yeah.
My niche is everything else.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if you wanted, I could help you with other things, but
yeah, but you're too lazy. You want to do the fart jokes.
We're both lazy, Ross.
That's true. Well, I'm just efficient. I prefer to think of myself as efficient.
You just called yourself lazy in this episode.
I know, but I was being efficient. Lazy.
That's as good as a confession.
Oh. Aw.
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
So, I think that covers the community news, the RPPR news. So, yeah.
How about we commence with the meat and potatoes of the episode?
Yes. Set the pace. Now, what could this be about, Tom?
Well, set the pace. I'm going to go with setting the pace.
Yes, the pace of the game in particular. Pacing, I think, is a underappreciated element in role-playing games. I think very, very few game masters, storytellers, dungeon masters, whatever you want to call them, keepers in Call of Cthulhu parlance.
The dude running the shit.
Yeah, the guy behind the screen, if you have a screen. They very, very few of them realize the importance of pacing, which in every other form of storytelling, linear storytelling, non-interactive story, well, even computer games, pacing is a vital, vital, vital element.
And every single GM I have ever experienced, myself included, have messed up on the pacing at least once.
Yeah. I just want to preface this whole thing with something I've learned from my screenwriting.
A pithy observation, Ross
yes.
has.
In screenwriting, I think the rule of thumb is to start late and leave early. And what
start late, leave
that
early.
doesn't mean you have to start at midnight. I mean, that's not the actual time you start the game. That means you start the scene as late as possible, as late as you possibly can. For example, in a game where it's a murder mystery, you start the game when the players find the dead body. That's when the game starts. Mm-hmm. When the players are presented with various challenges and options. You don't start the game with a half-hour, non-interactive cutscene, basically, where they're like, okay, here you are, this is your job, blah, 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 blah. Unless you're Scott Glancy, then you can do that, because you have all kinds
and
of...
everyone is like rapt attention at what
yeah, because saying. He can get away with it. You can't,
No, you're not him.
Yeah, exactly.
And woe to anyone who believes they are.
Now, I don't want to spoil it. Well, I do want to use you as an example, Tom.
No, I think that's a very good thing to do right now.
Tom is running a Mutants and Masterminds game set in the future. Future. Yeah.
No, I don't think I should tell you. You did it beautifully.
Yeah. We're on a base on Triton, Neptune's moon. We find this room that's full of all this stuff, these artifacts from World War II that some superhero had left 200 years earlier. And then we get exposed to this stuff that turns us into superhumans. Now, the thing is, he starts this about, 20, 30 minutes before we actually get to the room and we're exposed. Yeah. I mean, okay.
Well, I started as soon as the lockdown happened.
Right. So you're at lockdown, we go down, we find out, get in our jobs, we start doing them. We're like, oh, okay. We start poking around at the boxes. And you see, what I would have done in that case is fast forward through all of that and start right after everyone is exposed to it. Because the problem is, not only because it takes a while and it's kind of not really fun, you're kind of treading the thing where, like, what if the players jump off the rails before they get to the real first scene of the game? Mm-hmm. I mean, really, well, you would agree with me, Tom, that the first scene in this game was, oh shit, what the hell just happened to me? Oh my god, I can do crazy things with my mind. Or,
yeah.
That would be that's the start.
Yes.
So But what if some player decided, no, I'm going to go to my room and hide, or I'm not going to touch anything? Then the game kind of, lurches to a halt as somebody just pulled the emergency brake. It's like, I don't want a game. I don't want a, social contract.
I'm gonna put in a different CD and play a different game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be a dick, in other words. So that's what I mean by starting late. You start late as possible. Like, as late as you possibly can in the chronology of the game, and still have the players actually do something. So you wouldn't want to say start so late that like they're already fighting the bad guy. Like, oh yeah, you're round.
Oh,
5.
Darth Vader's after you right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like whoa. So yeah, now by leave early, that means you end a scene as soon as you possibly can, so you can get to the next scene. Now the main thing is each scene has a beginning, middle, and end. You want that juicy middle as much as possible, where the characters make difficult choices, where they have all kinds of options, and that kind of the meat of the scene. You want to get as much meat as possible, as much as good gooey juice, story juice, story juices, story organs, story sweetmeats. Yeah.
I'm thoroughly entertained just listening to you talk, Ross.
So you leave as soon as you possibly can. For example, on the combat, you leave whenever the players...
It's obvious that it's over.
Yeah, like if there's... Like in D&D 4th Ed, if the artillery and the controllers are all dead and there's like one brute who has more hit points but can't do shit for damage, and you're like, you know what? He fucking dies.
Or he surrenders.
Yeah, he surrenders, he dies, he runs away. I remember in the 4th Ed, like the New World game, of course, some of the players... Like, all right, it's just down to the Medusa who can't do shit. Okay, she runs away, and the player's like, no, we must get her. But, that...
Well, we're bloodthirsty PCs.
That's true, you are. But
No, they are.
Yeah.
Come on, let's be honest.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my basic guide, is to start the game, start every scene, every encounter, every challenge as late as possible, and end it as soon as possible to get to the next one. You want to... Because overall, I think games are too slow. I think 90... I would say, just make...
I'd say I go 95% of all pacing problems are slowness.
Well, I think... Well, I was talking about all games in general. I think most games are too slow. I think at role-playing games, almost all the games I've played as a player, they've been too slow for my liking. So I prefer... more shit happens, more stuff happens, more of the juicy story sweet meats. I'm not gonna let that go. I don't know why. It's probably the worst possible.
Just start saying it like Blobber Smith, like, yes, the meat is delicious.
Yes, or Hannibal Lecter, yes, the sweet meats, yes. Because that's where I got it from, was Red Dragon. So sweet meats, sweetbreads. Oh, see, I can't even remember. Right, sweetbreads.
Hey, if it's Hannibal Lecter, I remember.
Okay.
Trust me, I consider myself somewhat of an expert on the cinematic Hannibal Lecter, not the book so much.
Oh.
Though I have read them all.
Okay. So, I don't know. What about you, Tom? I mean, I've been, drawing too much as it is.
I agree. It's really, I think pacing also depends on the group you have.
Yeah.
The speed at which you run games largely depends on what your players want.
Mm-hmm.
If you have, the manic, bloodthirsty PCs that, are just, bundles of energy that must do shit, then yes, you've got to keep the game moving quickly. If you've got some more analytical PCs, the pace will always be slower.
Right.
As, if you got players, they like conversations, long investigations, which that's what I primarily run for in my 3-man group.
Right, but you want to get to those types of things as soon as possible. You don't want to do like the stuff where they can't really do anything. Like
I try to keep the exposition.
Well, not even the exposition.
I know the cutscenes.
Not even the cutscenes. The legwork, like in investigation mystery games. Obviously, doing background checks on everybody, figuring out what the clues are, or the simple skill checks, or in D&D games where it's like going down this corridor, seeing what this is.
Of that, like you could look to like Law and Order episodes.
Right.
The background checks, they always go into the scene right when like okay, here, like, I just got her file. Like, they don't show the arduous work that goes into it.
Right, yeah.
It shows the interesting stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think the thing is, in movies, television, everything, every form of storytelling, pacing is of the utmost importance. utmost importance. The 4-act structure of an hour-long TV drama, the 3-act structure of a movie. Is this too slow? Is this too fast? You have to hook them by the first 5 minutes. You have to hook them by the first 10 seconds if it's a web video. Blah 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 blah. Anyways, but in role-playing games, it's like, oh, I mean, I almost never see any advice in the actual games about pacing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does it, or I mean,
no,
am I wrong?
I get you, and the thing is, a lot of GMs don't even think about it.
Yeah,
they've got their grand plan, they've got everything set, and they're gonna do it, and a lot of them actually are kind of like, some are kind of egomaniacs that just think everything they do is art.
Yeah, no, and it's also, I mean, think about this. When you're writing a television show or a movie or a novel or a comic book, you think you have this much space or time to tell a story. You have 24 pages of a comic book. You have 43 minutes for a TV show. You have 90 minutes for a movie or 2 hours for a movie. Blah 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 blah. And that's it. So you can't go any further. But with an RPG, I don't know of almost, like, there's very little guidelines, and like, okay, I have 4 hours. What can I do in 4 hours? You know what I mean? I mean,
especially when you don't know where you don't know real largely where it's going to go.
Yeah, or 5 hours, or 3 hours, or whatever.
For most
else.
of an RPG, you don't have a script that has everything laid out, beginning, middle, and end.
Well, or published scenarios.
Well, published scenarios, but you never know how long each is going to be.
Right.
That really big,
some go long, some
really big detailed opening, they might just breeze through it in 10 minutes.
Right. Or you might choose to, yeah.
Or or a very brief scene very brief scene stretches out into 2.5 hours.
Right. Yeah. And so you kind of have to keep this in mind. I mean, you have to bring it up to the forefront, because these are very important considerations. I mean, obviously you have to be flexible. I mean, because again, they'll go long or they'll go short. It's like a live theater almost. So, I've been thinking about this because of the convention games I've been running. I ran like a dozen games between Gencon and DragonCon, over a dozen games, and each one, you have a 4-hour time slot there, and
that's it.
Yeah, well, that's it. So you have to get it done by then, and even then, like, to be honest, like, some of those con games, I was like, you know what, I want to get done before 4 hours, because I'm tired, or I want to eat, or I gotta, go do something.
I have a long walk to my next one.
Well, something like that. So I kind of thought about what kind of bullshit was there that didn't really help, that didn't really add anything to the game. And again, it's like this legwork, like you mentioned in Law and Order. It's like, in real life, obviously, it would take them weeks to figure out that the body decomposed like this, and it came from this caliber, blah, 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 blah.
You don't just suddenly get a call that, hey, the coroner's done with the autopsy.
Yeah, or like within 24 hours of the body being found. I mean, that probably doesn't happen too much. But you kind of... So overall, I don't know. Talk about some of the games. What are some of the things that you've encountered?
I think largely, I like to more focus. I mean, I could talk to death on stuff other people have done.
Right.
But I think actually the last 2 sessions I've run have demonstrated a lot of things that I've done wrong.
Okay. We've already mentioned the intro.
Yeah, the intro. There's that. Then there's the scene where you were all in quarantine.
Yeah.
This was after the exposure, and I only had about 2 or 3 things that really the player should have draw their attention to.
Right. There were 3 other NPCs that we knew that were like
manifesting weird powers.
And so we interacted with each one. One of them, Max, Gerhardt, was obviously not, kind of like, we poked him, but he didn't really say anything. So we spent some time with the Acid Man and the Beast, mm-hmm. and we kind of, but after that it's like, oh, what else are we gonna do? I mean, it's a sci-fi base, so we kind of like, oh, we're gonna keep tabs on people, we're gonna do this, but it's like, you didn't really give us much to work with, I think. So, I mean, you gave some of it, and it wasn't too long, but yeah.
It wasn't excruciatingly long.
No. But, I mean, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Like, every element in a game that the players can interact with, NPCs, fights, traps,
objects,
challenges, like researching something, you have to say, okay, the players are going to have this much time to allocate it for it, like, to basically experience it, to fight this fight, to figure out this puzzle, to talk to this NPC. But after that, that's it. And there's kind of a range of powers, like too little, minimal amount of time necessary to interact with it, and then maximum amount of time that you could interact with it, and then kind of a happy medium, And almost all games kind of go a little too long, I think. So at least in my experiences, and there would be those I'm sorry, going a little off topic. Are games that where the game master just lets things sit there? Do you know what I mean? Or the things where the game master is like, all right, what do you do? All right, I do this. Okay, and that's that. You know what I mean? Or I'm saying you know what I mean too much. I have verbal manifestations. Tics. I don't know. So I think when you're running a game, you need to be planning this out, sort of thinking consciously. It's almost better to have too many elements than too little elements. So
whether or not you use them all is irrelevant.
Right. But every time the players seem to have absorbed one element, throw another one at them, and throw a few more than they can handle, because I think it's better for the players to be a little overstimulated than not stimulated enough. Yeah. So I mean, you said there were earlier that there were or before we started recording, that there was only a few games where they were too fast.
Right. I think in 22 years of gaming, I think I can remember 2 games total where it was just too fast. And once again, it was in heavy railroading type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the players, were not bored with it. This was cool, but no, we got to move on. Wait, we want to check this out. No.
Right. You're flatly being told, oh, here's a bunch of stuff, and now moving on.
And he gave these really great descriptions for. I honestly forget the actual details, but really great descriptions of this horrible temple of evil and all these. And objects and unholy symbols, and we want to check them out. But you move on. Wait, no, we don't.
Yeah, but that's kind of a rarity. I think
it's extremely rare.
Yeah, I think it's almost always the other way around, where the player is like, all right, we do this.
And most of the times I've done it.
Yeah,
I will.
What about games that you played in that were too slow paced? I mean,
I've a lot.
Okay.
Well, there's.
Give us an example, Thomas.
Well, there's the Star Wars game that I was a part of. I think I've mentioned this before. It was It was totally scripted, but the GM took the time to describe everything verbatim, as well as some stuff that really didn't need to be, or she described stuff that was pointless. That we weren't actually supposed to interact with. But there was so much description of it, we just assumed, well, that must be important. And it wasn't. But we interacted with, we make a bunch of skill checks. We do group talk. All right, and it turns out it was for nothing. And that happened a lot.
I think one of the things you're still bringing up is that there's often very poor communication between the game master and the players. I think the game master doesn't give the players nearly enough information. And, when I'm running games, I give you guys I list your options over and over again, multiple times. And I say, of course you can do something else. And I provide suggestions, hints, but I don't force you to do anything. I don't know. You tell me.
No, you're right. It's like with your, the New World campaign.
Yeah.
You give us all kinds of choices.
Yeah.
And there are consequences and bonuses to focus on one and not the other.
Right.
But one thing you don't explain. Okay, well now that you've chosen this path, here's what you missed out on.
Yeah.
You wait and keep that stored away to bring out another time.
Yeah.
But you keep us involved and keep it moving.
Yeah. That's the thing, because I do love seeing you guys argue with each other about should we do this or should we do that or blah 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 blah. But I don't let it go. All right, this is not make a decision, So, but
yeah, and
most of the time
for the last 4 years, I've mostly run games for a 2 to 3 person group.
Yeah.
And we're so used to each other that.
Right. What's going to happen, what's not.
Yeah, and I can pretty much get away with.
Yeah, running those con games was very interesting because I got a wide variety of players.
And I actually think that keeps the GM on his toes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you know your group so well that you can predict how they're going to act.
Yeah.
It gets predictable for you. But if you got players that you don't know much about, could go either way.
Yeah. I think that's, if you want to be a good game master, I recommend you start gaming at game stores or run games at conventions. Like, you got a 4-hour time frame. You got to run a specific scenario.
You don't know who you're going to get.
Exactly. And I had the wide range of players. I had a lot of people who had no idea what the rules are, so I had to spend 20 minutes explaining the basics. Then I had very experienced players who knew exactly what I was doing. Like, when I ran a Delta Green game, I'd based it on a previous one. He's like, oh, I ran that for my group. And so he knew exactly. When I said McAllister building, he's like, oh my God, we're screwed. And that was kind of great in its own way. But, and then I had players who were like, I'm gonna kill the bad guy we just captured, but you're a superhero. Why would you do that? I want to go kill stuff. I had the whole gamut.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying, and
that's why I'm glad I'm running this campaign now.
Yeah.
For a group of 5 people. That it's making me realize I've been kind of complacent the last few years running stuff.
It seemed like you were running it. Like, you give us the NPC like the dinosaur or whatever, and just like, all right, okay, we'll talk to him.
And it's honestly, I'm learning more just by doing this.
Yeah. Like, I guess you assume your old group would just like sit and talk to the dinosaur.
They could do that for hours.
Really?
They
not even do anything. Just
no. They could. We could. I could, if I put an interesting PC out there for the group, I almost always run with.
Yeah.
2 hours. I could have a 2-hour conversation just between them. Mm-hmm. and that NPC.
Well, what would come of that conversation? Would it literally just be like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?"
No, I would bring up the plot points, and we would eventually get back into the plot.
Right.
But they so love the interaction that's the group I'm running. That's the group I ran the Gargoyles game with for 3 years.
Right.
That's the one I've run games with since 2000.
Right.
And it's now, and the one shots were a bit different because that was just a one shot, so I had everything ready and prepared. Right. Now I'm running a campaign. I'm finding it's a completely different set of things. So
yeah, it does seem like these I can see that now from as being a player in your game, that you would have these NPCs and stuff. Like, all right, we talked to them. I mean, we weren't like ignoring it. We weren't like, kill or whatever.
No, you weren't. But
we're like, all right, okay, come on, let's go do stuff. And
and it threw my ass for a loop, and it's been a long time since that's happened.
Oh yeah,
I'm grateful for it, actually.
That's right, we're good. Yeah,
because actually, and the biggest, I think that one of the biggest threats to pacing is complacency.
Yeah. Like, you get stuck in a routine, and then
then the moment your routine is broken, you're, oh shit. And
so I would recommend for GMs to go to a gaming convention, play in some convention games, run some convention games with totally different people, and then sort of go back and then run something different for your own group. That would help shock you out of your complacency, I think.
And that's the last 2 sessions have been very useful for me.
But I think overall, when in doubt, your game is too slow.
Speed it up.
Yeah, speed that shit up. Unless you're saving the world, blowing up the world, and reanimating the world all within the same hour, I think you're going too slow.
You're turning the world to shit, eating the shit, and shitting out the shit, and re-eating that shit you just shat out.
Exactly. Okay. All right, Tom. Fair enough. So, with that being said, I think unless you had something else to say about
No, I think look for those campaigns in the actual play forums when they come out.
Well, we have great. Tom now does have a letter. I think.
Well, as you know, as I will say, I normally don't do one for our pre and post Gencon show.
Well, we already did the post Gencon.
I know. Yeah, I normally don't. I don't do a letter for those two.
So now we're now in the normal routine.
We're back in the normal routine.
So you're gonna have the letters.
It's there.
Yeah.
The letter is next.
We do have shout-outs and anecdotes. And also, favorite. I'll just mention the forum thread now. RPPR New World Campaign cover preview. So you can take a look and see what the cover is going to look like.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is awesome. So we'll be right back.
Well, it's that time again. Both the pre- and post-Gen Con shows are completed, and the time for a new episode comes running up and punches me in the nutsack. I usually don't do a letter for those two shows, as we are simply discussing what we are going to do and then what we did at Con. But now that time is over, and a new letter must come. It is a ritual that is always the same, yet sneaks up on me every time. It begins by Ross telling me, in that effeminate yet non-sexual way of his, that we must record another episode soon, I had better have a letter written, lest I invoke his infernal wrath. The words are easily deflected off my Teflon-coated brain, which is all but impervious to the intake of knowledge. I just grunt and mumble, giving the bare minimum response dictated by the social contract. Days go by until the day of the recording comes. Then, like a half-forgotten memory through a cracked mirror of regret, I remember that I must write the letter. Well, shit, what do I write about? Gaming stuff, ideally. So I look to my bookshelf, stuffed thick with RPG books collected over a lifetime, looking for inspiration. Alas, nothing comes. All that enters my consciousness is the fact that I have reams of gaming delight, yet none of them can be enjoyed without other people. I am well aware that should I try to derive pleasure from them, an asteroid will collide with the Earth, wiping out every sub-microscopic trace of life. I will survive, of course, because fate has had its eternal prick of fiery doom up my ass since birth. There I will be, sitting on a mountain of RPG delight as some kind of nerd Croesus, and none will be around to make any of it matter. Well, perhaps I will go to the window and daydream, letting inspiration rise from my deep subconscious. No, nothing helping there either. I look outside and see the entire world passing me by, making me envious and apathetic at the same time. Look at them. Children playing, deriving sheer joy from the simple act of throwing a rubber ball back and forth. A songbird lands lightly on a branch, suffused with the freeing power of flight. An insect crawls across the windowsill, filling me with envy of the instinctive single-mindedness of the insect mind. And here I am, trying to write a letter, watching joy in the world that I will never know. Indeed, the children stop throwing the ball, as if sensing they are being observed by one who does not belong. They gaze up at me, their eyes boring into my soul. They say, "You are not one of us. Leave this place of light and happiness for the darkness and misery that is your existence." So I do. I begin to wonder now, where will I find inspiration? This letter must be written, yet nothing seems to be able to penetrate the thick layer of regret that closes around my being. I can think of nothing but the inexorable flood of lost joy and happiness that used to exist. I think of the Piccadilly cafeteria that I used to love, closed now for nearly a decade. How I used to love the atmosphere, the hush puppies the size of a horse testicle, the old people that made me feel even younger than I truly was. Is there nothing that can give me inspiration to pen this letter that my dear friend Ross has entrusted me to complete? Will I let him down as well as all of the RPPR fans that enjoy them? Then it comes to me, like a piercing ray of light through the darkness and misery of sadness. It is all-encompassing, filling me with a feeling of joy and accomplishment that makes every wrong in my life vanish like the spores of a dandelion in a tornado. I have my inspiration. Swearing and saying fuck. So here's the final message of this now inspired letter. Ross, here's my motherfucking letter. It's done, but don't think for a damn minute that it's because of you. I wrote it for the listeners of RPPR who love to hear me say fuck, cunt, shitballs, and every other piece of toilet poetry that flows out of my mouth like verbal diarrhea. Oh, and cum shitter.
Always the class act.
I try to be.
I feel so. Just your struggle is so.
Was it
poetic.
inspiring to you?
Yes, inspiring. That's the word I'll use.
And not sickening?
Yeah. So yeah.
You chose me as your friend. You know?
Yeah, I did. Too late now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess now we do the shout-outs. So,
And I have but one.
well, let me go first.
Fine, why don't you just go first?
I will go first. My first one will actually be something I wanted to review. This will be the RPPR review. This is from our friends at Alpha Omega, the RPG, which you remember I've interviewed the people behind it. It's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi fantasy kind of RPG. Angels, demons, alpha, good magic, bad magic. That's with really good art. Anyways, they sent us the Encountered, a monster manual, and it's got all these crazy ass monsters, abominations, tech fiends.
The artwork is crazy cool.
It is. We're looking at it right now. Damned Conscriptor, Legion Bone Wielder, and Legion Executioner, and just
every single page of artwork is awesome in this.
It is. It really is, isn't it?
I flipped through this several times, actually.
I read most of it, and even though I haven't played Alpha Omega, I've read the rules, and it's, again, a very crunchy system, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody who is playing Alpha Omega. I mean, it should be a no-brainer if you're already a player in Alpha Omega. But, when I think of this, I actually think of back to the Book of Unremitting Horror. Do you remember that, Tom?
I remember that.
Yeah, and it's, got all these great monsters, and we recommend it even if you didn't have Gumshoe. And this is, I wouldn't say as strong a recommend as, say, Book of Unremitting Horror, but if you're playing a post-apocalyptic game, I'd give this a look if you have it in your friendly local game store, because there's a lot of good monsters in it that could be used for a lot of different post-apocalyptic or, extreme sci-fi or fantasy games. A lot of them are, there's a lot of neat ideas in there. I think there was one called the Learner, which is a swarm of nano machines that possesses other machines, and then they're trying to do something. They each have their own little obsessive quest or task, and so they could be anything. So it's a very cool idea. It could be a whole adventure in itself, and there's like a good number of monsters in here that are each like that, and so it's very cool, but it's not, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a must-have for any sort of post-apocalyptic game, because, like, there are a lot of monsters in here that are like, this is an ultimate predator. It kills through this kind of weird-ass way. I mean, it does have, like, actual spider monkeys. Like actual, like, spider-monkey hybrids.
Yes.
Yeah, which is like, oh, man, fuck that thing. Kill it with fire. But...
That's Ross's knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, here it is. Stalker monkey, freak of nature. Yes, it's a monkey with 8 legs and, fangs. So, fuck that thing.
It will eat you.
Yeah, fuck that thing. Seriously. If I was like a character in that game, I would be like, kill it with fire. But there's just a lot of my biggest complaint is there are a lot of monsters in here that sort of they exist solely to be killed by player characters. I mean, they're like crazy ass monsters that do this and they kill people through this way, and predators that do this kill people this way. So, but that's a minor complaint. I mean, like, if you're playing Alpha Omega, you should get this. I mean, it's like freaking awesome. I kind of just wish they had the easy way to convert it to other systems. I mean, you could obviously convert these ideas into other monsters, other systems, pretty easily. But like, so I'd give it a look through if you don't have Alpha Omega. But yeah, there's a lot of cool ideas in here, and a lot of different crazy ass monsters. Like, again, those fucking spider monkeys that need to die,
and demons.
Yeah.
Everyone needs demons. Yeah.
So that's my first shout out, is this. It's also a very beautiful, very full color kind of book. Yeah. Every time I open this book, I seem to find something I've never seen before. So and I've read most of this, so it's weird. I don't know. Anyway, Fair enough. Tom?
My only one is a movie. Ross has seen this, of course, called The Devil's Tomb. I'm going to say it is a god-awful movie. But it will have a special place in my heart for all of eternity.
And why is that, Tom?
Because when we saw Henry Rollins live in St. Louis, Ross was there.
Yeah.
He specifically talked about making this movie.
Yes.
And it was hilarious as shit.
Yeah.
And I vowed that when this came out, I would watch it.
Yeah.
And I rented it only for that reason. And it's truly horrible. But it's got Henry Rollins in it. And it's true. He has no normal dialogue in this movie. He is only deadly serious the whole movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a piece of crap.
Somehow they got Cuba Gooding Jr. in it.
No, the actors got to eat, man.
But
Jeremy Irons has been in worse movies.
Yeah, I know.
He was in Dungeons and Dragons, the movie, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was.
And Ben Kingsley was in Uwe Boll's Blood Rain.
Yeah. So,
but it's because I remember, because Henry Rollins in the
good actors when Henry
Rollins acted when he was talking about it, he said, "Cuba Gooding Jr., didn't you win an Academy Award? What are you doing here?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's an awful movie, shitty plot, horrible effects.
But it has Henry Rollins.
But it has Henry Rollins, and we heard him talk about it.
So buy it and rub it all over yourself.
That's right, because Henry Rollins' awesomeness cannot be quantified in numbers.
Oh man, I can't. I'm just waiting for the restraining order.
He lives in California, and he lives in Los Angeles. That's a little far to go stalking.
Well, all right, yeah, sure, okay, whatever you say.
I'm a stalker on a budget. Okay.
Oh, I see.
I can only troll and look for interviews and shit.
Anyway, okay. Well, you're done, aren't you?
Well, you watched the movie. It is a piece of crap.
Yeah, no, it is a B movie piece of crap, generic, forgettable DVD, straight to DVD kind of horror.
Frozen demons. It's not ice. That is the wrath of God. And I have to give a shout out to Aaron. He made a really funny joke on that.
Okay.
That said, well, so you can actually chip off a piece of the wrath of God and you put it in a drink.
Yeah.
And we look. It was. I guess you had to have been there, but
yeah,
we chuckled.
Yeah.
Good job.
Chuckle worthy. All right. Next up, I have the Kerberos Club and This Favored Land. These are new books out from Arc Dream, my publisher.
Arc Dreams, baby.
Arc Dream, actually. Apparently, I've been missaying it all this time, and I'm a horrible.
I'm sure if you type it in, you're still gonna get their stuff on the.
Yeah. So, Kerberos Club is by Ben Bowe, the author of Monsters and Other Childish Things, and it's a Wild Talents, which is a one-roll engine superheroes game. Anyway, it's a Victorian era, 19th century London superhero setting where you're playing characters, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen kind of things. You can be steampunk automechanical inventors, or you can be mystics or fairy people, or any
vampires.
Yeah, vampires. Actually, vampires are like syphilis. It's like it's syphilitic vampires. So that's yeah, exactly. There's just tons and tons of great ideas in it. Like they have what's the name of the famous asylum in Bedlam? Bedlam has a mystic artifact that shuts down superpower, so they put all the crazy superpower people in there. And if he's a crazy inventor, they'll just break his hands. And it's very hard to get in or out. And they're like, haha, we're Bedlam. And so it's
fear us.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just all kinds of. I mean, they made the Confederacy a Cthulhu worshipping evil empire. So,
fucking Jefferson Davis.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're at all interested in steampunk, Victorian era, anything, or a great setting for superheroes, I would definitely recommend it. The stuff it's mostly fluff, so you could easily convert it to mutants and masterminds. So, yeah. Wild Talents though is only $10, so you could get that if you're into one roll engine, which I am. But anyway, This Favored Land is Civil War era superheroes. So you could be on the North or South, and the South does not worship Cthulhu in this version.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, but it's kind of, being a superpowered character fighting on either side. So it gets into spiritualism and religion and all kinds of things like that. So it's, again, very, very... You'd also run a straight-up Civil War game with this, with the amount of rules they put forth. You could be if you want to roll up, do an adventure in the Civil War, this would be the book to do it. So it's very cool.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then I would like to mention Dead Man's Shoes, a movie directed by Shane Meadows, 2004 UK thriller. Very, very excellent, very dark movie about a soldier comes back to this small town to get revenge on these people, these small town gangsters and drug dealers who have been tormenting his mentally challenged brother.
Oh, you don't do that to a commando.
Yeah, he's a SAS guy. So it is a very freaky, very, very dark movie about the worst of the worst in small town UK and a crazy soldier. So yeah.
But it has a nice happy fairy tale ending.
Whatever you say, Tom.
Exactly.
There will be rabbits there, Tom.
Talking rabbits.
Exactly. Then finally, 2 TV shows. I've just been oh my god, media. What is Shark Tank, which is a reality show on ABC, but it's 5 ultra rich people listening to these small business owners pitch their business ideas to them. And what I like about it is it's just basically what a haggle extended skill challenge looks like. It's like, okay, for $500,000 I give you 10% of my business. Well, how about, well, your idea isn't that good, how about this, or how about this, or how about blah, 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 and they go back and forth. So if you want to get an idea of what bargaiing or haggling is really like,
since it's a dead art in America.
Yeah, it is, it really is. That's why I like, exactly, thank you. It is a dead art in America, and this is like sort of bringing, or like this is what it's like in the real world. School of Hard Knocks,
Yeah, it's like if you're going to the Bakara arms market in Mogadishu, Somalia, they're not going to have just listed prices.
Exactly. Thank you, Tom. So if you're
I watched Black Hawk Down again. But yeah, you don't.
I think we just assaulted a Somalian town recently. The Marines went in there too, but Al Qaeda,
Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
There's no price tags on shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty much like, I'm interested in that gun. They give you a price. You give them another price.
Yeah, exactly.
And they say, you insult me, but I will offer this, and back and forth until finally you come to an agreement.
Yeah. So if you're a game master and you want to do that kind of thing, watch Shark Tank. It's on Hulu. I'll link to the Hulu show, so you can watch the whole thing on Hulu, or just watch clips of it, and so you can get like, oh, okay, so that's a good way to do this. And you could totally do like a skill challenge, like where you're like the nobles, like the kings or the 5 nobles or whatever, are like, oh, well, what about this? Oh, and then like the sharks will bid against each other. Like if they're like, oh, well, you'll offer them $80,000, but you'll take 51% of their business. Well, I'll give you $120,000 and 50% of the business because I don't like you. You're being an asshole. And then, so it's great with the rich guys.
Especially when you mix egos in the equation.
Exactly. So, and then finally, Hoarders, which is an A&E show about people who are hoarders. It's a
like clinically.
Yeah, like obsessive compulsive. And I've only watched 1 episode of it, but it's basically like, oh wow, insanity, madness, and horror. I mean, it's like basically the next time I run a modern horror game, there's going to be a hoarder, Tom. And it's going to be fucking awful. I mean, it's just going to be like horrific. I'm going to make it terrifying. Because they had this cat woman in New Mexico.
So already you heard a rattlesnake sound, signifying something bad's about to happen.
Yeah. And, she thought she had 20 cats because that's how many she saw. Then the animal control people came in. They started, basically clearing her house out. I mean, it was just horrific. And they kept finding... They found, I think, over 80 cats in her house, and 40 of them were dead, like skeletons, because it was so hot. They just mummified. And, I mean, they had like one cat that was found dead in a box, and because of the shape of the box, it had become like a box-shaped dead cat. And I know this is utterly horrific. I know there's a lot of cat lovers out there and be like, oh!
Me included.
Yeah, but... Like, for me, I mean, they're helping the woman, and they saved all the living cats, except the ones they had to put down because they were so sick. But, like, they ended the health hazard, so it does have a happy ending. And in that case, or as least tragic ending as possible. Because she didn't go to jail. They decided that they took mercy on her, basically. But
she'll be under supervision, I would
think. Oh, yeah. And... She's only allowed to keep 3 cats instead.
It's not just that she did it because she was cruel.
No,
she was crazy.
No, she was trying to help the cats because people would like leave them behind, and she just it was like it's an addiction. It's like it is an addiction,
and you lose track of them.
And so, if you want to run modern horror, like start watching this to help describe what you could do for like you're going through the cultist den, and you could just describe some hoarder's little lair, with every foot pile of trash and everything, or these mummified skeletons.
And if you touch, he will kill you.
Yeah, exactly, and just the sheer way people rationalize and become codependent on each other, and how they justify and how they let their own family members get this bad. I mean, it's very fascinating, and so that's it's if you want to get a darker side, sort of like of madness in running modern horror, I would recommend it. So
yeah, if the padded cells and the straitjackets don't do it for you.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
well, you call that?
Well, they tried to help him in the show. I mean, they clean him out, get a therapist, and all that other stuff. So yeah, but
there's some less creepy ones too.
Oh, have you seen the show too?
No, I tried like a guy like the wine bottles.
Oh yeah. Well, that was still pretty horrific because like
Well, the situation itself.
No, yeah. No, I mean, because he was like, the actual hoarder was suicidal, and his dad was like a really bad alcoholic. So, yeah, pretty dark show. So, anyway, we should get on to anecdotes.
Why don't we?
All right. First off, why don't we do the internet one, which I'll pull up just now. All right. So, anyways, here is the story from one of our listeners. Well, he doesn't leave his name, so Eugenius, I think, at AIM. Anyways, here's to hoping me and my party members are stupid enough to get on the podcast. Well, you are. Not in a bad way, though. About 5 months ago, we were playing AD&D. I was a wizard, my friend a priest, and the other two warrior types. We'd gone to the island of Pern, which our GM had remade as metallic versus chromatic dragon armies. We were in a very large battle, and our side, metallic, was losing. The wizard in charge of this battle came to us and said we needed to eliminate one of the enemy dragons, which was harassing our platoon. So, let's see here. Being a 13th level wizard, I thought our priest and I would simply dimension endure on the back of the dragon when he flew by a strafing attack and use the reverse of a heal spell, which is a harm spell, reducing 1d4 hit points. We knew that the dimension door spell required 1 round of recovery time after casting, meaning that neither of us could take an action that round. But we figured the priest would take damage. The Dragon Rider dished out. Little did we expect our GM hit us with. The dragon pulled a Star Fox and simply did a barrel roll. And my friend and I lodged complaints, but to no avail. The dragon took full opportunity of its inclined speed and dropped us before we had time to recover. I took a whopping 136 points of damage with only about 60 hit points left when I had cast the spell. Needless to say, we lost the battle and had to retreat. Then a few turns later, my friend had raised me in mid-battle. We retreated into a narrow pass and cast anti-magic shell on myself to stop the parallel breath weapon aimed at the retreating soldiers. Thinking I was unhurtable, I told the GM I took every opportunity to put myself between our troops and the fire, and the GM got smart. The dragon simply landed, killed me with a crit claw and bite attack, and got driven away by the party. I got killed twice in under an hour of real time. And I recognize this because the email address, because that's the same one as and I want to apologize to this guy. I don't know his your real name, but he posted a thread in our forums called D&D drugs, and he basically posted this one sentence thing saying, I'm wanting to make weed for D20 rules. Well, how do I price it, or something like that? And it's late at night, so I just think this is hilarious. So I just go smoke healing potions 420 every day, and I actually did searches for that, and I found out there was a D20 race of humanoid cannabis plants
Of course.
that look like Swamp Thing, and that apparently there are rules for weed in the Book of Vile Darkness because weed is so vile and dark. Obviously,
That's why it's still illegal.
it is reefer madness. Reefer madness.
Who's next? What children? Yours or yours?
Exactly, and I feel bad because I don't want to feel like the guy, he hasn't posted since. I don't want to feel like I was calling him out or making fun of him. I just thought the thread, that was hilarious. And please don't take any offense at that. I'm sorry if I, made you feel bad or whatever, because you have to admit that was funny. I
Yes.
mean, and you shouldn't take anything on the internet seriously. So please, I'm sorry that I may have, called undue attention to you or whatever. I was just having
Unlike
fun
what you're
with
doing
it.
now.
Yeah, and I'm a jerk and a douche, and I'm just yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm just a big mean.
Ross is
beat.
an artist. You know how they are.
I know we're horrible. We're horrible degenerates.
We are.
Well, artists are. You're not an artist. See, there's me being a jerk again. I can't help it. I'm just a horrible, horrible man, aren't I?
Hey, I'm a writer. Just because I'm not published doesn't make you better than me.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, anyway. I have one other anecdote too. So anyways, at DragonCon, I actually got to play Monsters and Other Childish Things.
Well, holy Jesus.
And this was a game run by Ben Bowe, the guy who actually wrote the fucking game.
So it's safe to say he knew the game?
He knew the game, and he ran a really badass game. It was in Candlewick Manor, and this is the same game he's run at every con. He's run He's run it over 7 times. He's run it 7 times at least, and every time very different reactions. And I'm trying to get him to write up all the things. So hopefully next episode we'll have a write up of all the different variants. So like every time, it's like the first night of these kids going into the manor, being orphans, and I play one of the pre-gens, HP Pogue, who is a little kid with crayons, and when he draws things, they come to life. He can draw a chair and then sit in the chair or whatever else. So anyways, we're in our rooms. We're in the absolute worst condition part of the manor, the one that's falling apart, very dilapidated. We need to use a toilet. The toilet's fallen through the floor, so there's just a big hole in the bathroom. There's a big hole in the ceiling. Something crashed through the ceiling, through the attic, destroyed our toilet, and went on through. Kept going. And on top it all off, there are all these snakes in the hallway outside, and they're coming in. And so we're like, oh my god, what's going on? What are we going to do? Some of the kids climb down the hole to see what the room is down there, and they find a dead body. And, whoa. But anyway,
oh my god.
I haven't done that yet. So what I do is I decide that snakes are very dangerous, and, we must stay away from them. So what is the natural enemy of the snake?
Mongoose,
exactly. So my ability can be used as an attack. So I use an attack ability by drawing a bunch of mongooses and having mongooses to attack the snakes. So now there's this huge climactic battle between mongoose and snake, and chaos. And then I'm like, oh my god, this is just overwhelming the entire room. So I say, I need to get all this away from me. Aha! You know what I'll do? I'll draw a bunch of lemmings to rush towards the hole so they can, fulfill their racial species
to suicide
instincts. Yeah, and they'll sweep everything off with them, and they do. And so the players who climbed down in there were pelted.
Got a nasty surprise.
Yeah, with a rain of dead mongoose, snake, and lemming, all over the place.
Just like my honeymoon.
Yeah, so it was quite the I made Ben himself. I recorded the full game too.
So there was some hijinks.
There were. It was quite fun. It was quite hysterical even. So those are of course other crazy things happening. I ran Delta Green, same scenario 5 times, set in the Carcosa.
We don't know it's there.
Yeah, we don't know it's there. It's called Night Mall. I'll have more of that in the future episodes, because that it's getting to be October soon, so we'll do some more horror stuff.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah.
This shit will get real.
Yeah, it will. So, but I think that's about it.
I think that covers it.
Yeah. So, this has been episode 37 of Role Playing Public Radio, and this is.
The one last thing I will say.
Yeah.
Aaron has run his first game in 7 years.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say that this is going to be an ongoing thing for me.
Yeah.
I think he has potential, but he has severe confidence issues.
Yeah.
So for the next few weeks at least, I'm trying to work on building up his confidence.
Okay. Well, once we get that actual play thing up, we'll have a new episode every week. So we will need to feed the beast.
But I will say that I attempted to record the last game he ran yesterday.
Yeah.
As soon as I turned the recorder on, he wasn't addressing the players, he was addressing the recorder. He was saying, the players are doing this, the players see this. You see the players see this thing coming at them.
It puts the lotion in the basket, or it gets the
and
hose
I
again.
had to stop it, and I told him, and he...
Bad Aaron.
And he actually... Oh my god, I was doing that, wasn't I? So, he's not quite ready for the recorder.
Not ready for prime time.
No. That's my current project.
All right.
Which, unfortunately, I can
it's
only...
like Pygmalion, but with greasy nerds.
Yeah, and I can only deliver unto you the verbal information of what's going on there.
Okay.
I will continue to do so.
Yeah.
I will talk of his progress, if any is made.
If any is made.
I will keep a clipboard and wear a lab coat for this, so it looks all official.
All right. Well, cool. So anyway, that wraps up this episode of Role Playing Public Radio.
It does.
Episode 37, Set the Pace, and this is Russ Payton here with Role Playing Public Radio. Slagdesign.com.
There's the catharsis voice right there.
Yeah. All right.
And I'm Tom Church, also saying goodbye.